Good afternoon and welcome once again to another exciting edition of Inside ProCents, where our purpose is very simple: to showcase our members, to shed a little light on the value that ProCents is providing to our industry players, and most of all, to let you hear that value directly from our members' lips. My name is Devin Anderson, and I'm the president here at ProCents, and I'm joined once again by my friends and the ProCents leadership team, Mr. J.R. Edens, ProCents partner, and our CEO, Mr. Matt Russell. Matt, you want to say a few words?
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited for this and what Tom and PLC Multipoint have to offer for the environment. This is a unique solution for the environment, but something that, everyone is leaving off the bids. So I think it's an opportunity to provide a lot of extra SKUs and get a few extra dollars in your pocket for our members. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. All right. Today we are featuring one of our ProCents sellers within the ProCents environment, dedicated to serving our control solution category, Mr. Tom Witter of PLC Multipoint. PLC Multipoint is located in my backyard right here in the Pacific Northwest, Everett, Washington. Good morning, Tom, and welcome to Inside ProCents.
Hey, thanks for having me, Devin and team. Looking forward to it.
Right on. All right, let's get this party started. As always, let's begin by shining the light on you and your organization with a little self-promotion. So I want you to tell us a little bit about PLC Multipoint. Wow, that wasn't coming out. PLC Multipoint. And then add to that, give us a quick summary of why you felt ProCents would be a beneficial platform to help support, market, and sell PLC Multipoint's many control solutions.
Very good. Well, PLC Multipoint's been around for a number of years. We were founded in 1991. We were actually the inventors of the photo sensor for the lighting market. And based on that, we've got a number of different divisions that sell within the lighting controls industry, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But why you should consider us? Well, we're made in the USA. Everything comes out of Everett, Washington for shipments. We're part of the BAA and Title 24 certification. So we qualify for all rebates and any incentives that may be on a lighting project. Our pride is our engineering prowess. We are headquartered by Boeing, and we've used or employed several of their engineers over the past. So if they can keep a airline going, they can certainly keep your lights on. We focus on our customer service. I think that's very important. And we have fast turnarounds on our quotes and markups and our customer service. For instance, I got an order this morning, and I got a shipment notification already before 2 o'clock my time that's going out same day as the receipt of order. We can do that for a couple of reasons. We have we've made a conscious effort to have 2 years supply of our critical components of our lighting control products. So whether it's a panel with a motherboard in it, we have 2 years worth of supply of the motherboards. And on the some of the chips and the photo sensors, we've made that decision to have 2 years supply of those. So when a lot of people are struggling to hit shipments right now, we're shipping same day on lots of orders, typically 2 to 3 days if it's sizable, but if it's a quick turnaround on some devices, no problem. We're an ISO 9001 company, which means we have invested in process, which is going to make sure that we have that quality throughout everything we produce. We're also a UL 508 panel manufacturer, which means if you make a customization to a control panel, we don't have to send it to UL to get certified or recertified just based on a minor modification. We do that in-house. So instead of being, luckily, a 6 to 8 week process, when you send it back to UL, we can do that in 2 weeks. And lastly, we're also a UL 916 sensing device manufacturer. So if you need a tweak to a sensor or one of our products, sensing devices, we can do that as well. And that takes a matter of days rather than weeks or months. So those are some great things about it. And the good thing is we've sold millions of devices across the globe the last 31 years, from Shanghai to Singapore to Seville, Spain. We're across, we like to joke, we don't know exactly the number, but we call it 117 countries. So we're everywhere. And so the interest from us on ProCents was a couple of reasons. We agree that ProCents has the opportunity to flatten the channel. It's going to give us more direct contact with buyers and decision makers. And that's what we're looking to do. And we're looking at this as a new direct selling vertical. So there was really no downside in working with ProCents. And, my relationship with Devin goes back a number of years, and that just was icing on the cake. But we just think that this is a more concise way of doing business than what we've been doing or what a lot of our sales have come to over the last years.
That's awesome. Very nice. Appreciate that, Tom. JR?
Hey, Tom, man, great to have you in the environment. Great to see you. PLC Multipoint built its foundation or its core business on the sensor market and really, truly geared towards that wired and wireless sensor solution. To everybody listening in our audience about the two solutions that you guys have and that one core product that you have that you think that the buyers in the community and everybody listening can really grow and leverage together.
Well, I think it's important to see that PLC Multipoint, we're very sensor focused, but we have about 6 different avenues for revenue. We have OEM, where if you look at us, we're a who's who of who buys from us in the lighting market, whether it's Leviton, Lutron, Acuity, Wattstopper, GE, all those people are buying from us. When we're looking at sensors and devices, that's sort of our short cycle sales opportunities where someone calls up and says, I need 100 sensors or, PIR wall switches. That's simple. Buildings. So when we're talking buildings, we typically get into the panels that are connecting to power packs or to ceiling sensors or wall sensors, then connecting on down to a switch. We also have our outdoor product, which we call Lodestar, which is great for parking garages, campuses, and typically under 1,000 fixtures. We have our transportation business. So we also have, we control the 7 bridges in the Bay Area. We do the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel connecting Lower Manhattan and Brooklyn. So there's a lot of things that go on. The transportation is very long cycle, not necessarily right for the ProCents market, but it's interesting to know that's where we also play. And lastly is custom projects. So if someone comes to us and says, we've got a really difficult solution, can you help us figure this out? And because of our engineering background, we can. And that accounts for about 25% of our revenue on an annual basis. So we're more than just sensors, but the sensors is definitely where we started. And so our category killers, if you look at this, would be our 0 to 10 volts photosensors, our CES line, our 4 to 20 amp output MAS line, and our EDS, our 0 to 10 volt sensors for dimming ballasts and drivers. So when you look at those 3 different lines, that's probably where we're going to get the most play from your customers and your buyers and sellers. Our CES MAS line is compatible with building automation systems. You will find these in a lot of national accounts. For instance, any Walmart with a skylight is going to have one of our sensors in there that connects to the building automation system within each Walmart store that controls their HVAC and their freezers and that sort of thing. So we've got lots of national accounts that are using those. Our EDS line is a great way, when we're talking about sensors, a lot of them going to fixture-based sensors, but when you run into some problems, if there's a $50 sensor per fixture, you got 100 fixtures, and that's a $5,000 adder. A lot of times companies come to us and say, what can you do with our EDS sensor? And we can put, 5 of those on a project that's 100 high bays rather, and we can take out, $4,000 or $5,000, $4,000 to $4,500 in cost on those particular projects. So a lot of different ways we can play. And as for wireless, we have a complete line of wired and wireless devices, whether they're power packs, and those are, those wireless products are specifically designed for, retrofit market. And the wired, if you have a little bit more time and you're, having new construction, well, it's probably still a little bit better to have wired solutions just because it's a little bit more secure and dependable. But we have them both. And so when you look at those 6 different channels, I mentioned before, the OEM is our biggest. We're working with all those big names, Lutron, Leviton, Wattstopper, et cetera. They're all buying our CES, MAS, EDS line. When you look at our sensors and devices, well, we've sold millions of those devices across the across the world. That's our short cycle business. Buildings equals our panels, whether it's a relay panel or contactor panel, what have you. Our outdoor is, obviously we're sort of new to that the last couple of years, but we've gotten lots and lots of traction for those communities, through those parking lots, through those area lights situations. And, those are all very good for us. So while I'd like to focus on our category killers as being our photo sensors, which we started the business with, we're much more than that. And we can talk about those in greater detail at some other time.
That's awesome. So I mean, a lot of people, when they think of wireless, they think retrofit, right? In your experience, and I'm kind of coming at this from a point of view of some of the stuff that I've dealt with in my past, but in your experience, how many of those projects, in today's world, are really hybrids, both wired and wireless on the specification side specifically? Because obviously, in a retrofit, it makes sense to go wireless because it's a lot easier to go ahead and make that happen without too much invasion. But on the specification side, it seems like there's a lot of opportunity for wired solutions that have a hybrid wireless piece to it, and why. So maybe give a little bit on that real quick.
Well, I think it's important to notice that wireless does not mean no wires. So there's definitely some wires going to a power pack or going someplace so they can energize that. Then it communicates wirelessly through whatever protocol down to the sensors and devices. So you're exactly right. There's no confusion about that, but there's just a lot of misunderstanding when you get down to the contractor level and they're saying, well, we need this all wireless. I say, well, where do you want to start the wires and where do you want the wires to end? So it's yes, we're looking to see the more power packs, more room controllers, more devices that are going to be wired, powered by that very reliable CR123 battery that lasts between 5 and 10 years, depending what device it's in. But that's all where it's going when we recognize that.
Right on. All right, well, let's go ahead and enter into the sea of anything can happen. It's called Matt Russell. Mr. Matt has a few questions. Go to it, Matt.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ask what your favorite color is. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just throwing it out there.
Blue.
All right. In the lighting world, obviously we've seen rebates kind of shift from lighting fixtures to being lighting fixtures with controls. Obviously, being on the West Coast, and you mentioned Title 24 earlier. Can you talk about, since controls is now so much a part of day-to-day life with it, the integration of IoT and PLC Multipoint for our buyers and what they should consider when they're looking at the Internet of Things with PLC?
Well, that's an interesting question. Controls are becoming ubiquitous, with Title 24 and similar programs across the country. So the IoT of things where can you control these products from, essentially? And we can control, you can control, using a program for our Lodestar that's an app. We don't have an app for some of our other products, but there's different, we can tie into all the building automation systems, building management systems, which usually have a communication aspect to them. So depends on what we're looking at. We're definitely part of the wireless and IoT part. It just depends how you want to do it, is how we offer our solution.
Okay.
Right
Well,
on.
yeah, and that kind of ties into the next question. And I want to go back and highlight it because you did say that it's part of the vertical of PLC Multipoint and the OEMs. So as a seller within the environment, you can actually be both a buyer, a seller, and a buyer, or at least the sellers can. So with that, can you talk about the OEM process? That way, if manufacturers or the sellers within our environment want to reach out to you and discuss integrating products from PLC Multipoint into their products as a white label OEM product, and then what that may look like with the actual systems itself, or is it an open API or open protocol, so they can make their own app, because everyone wants to be branded, and that's, where I think a company like yours has a lot of pull and a lot of value to be added for both the buyers and our sellers.
Sure. So, essentially the initial process starts with a call or an email to me. Then we can look back at what the plans are. What are the drawings for the building and what they're trying to accomplish with their control strategy. And that's going to dictate where we go in terms of what products and what we offer, whether they need to go to a panel off of a load center, or whether they can do a power pack, or what they're just going to need some corner devices talking wirelessly to a device. So it depends on what the drawings look like. Right now, we're doing a lot of multifamily homes, so we're doing a lot of public areas, but we're not, when they're communicating wirelessly to each other, but they're not really doing an IoT play on that. So it just depends on what the requirements are, but we can tie back into those systems that communicate to however they want. So the first thing is get us the drawings. We can get you the markups and the quotes. Typically, if it's not a massive project, within 48 hours. So that's sort of how we do it. And we would treat you as one of our OEM partners. As I mentioned, we have a lot of experience doing that, and it's our biggest division. So it's not like we don't know how to work with other manufacturers. So that's where I'd start. And for your buyers, or for your buyers, it's just like we would be able to control. We would basically do the same process. If you have some drawings or you have a project that needs controls, or you need to VE a project, we can look at that. And we've gone up against every major wireless control platform out there and wired platform, and we've been able to cross them to our solutions. So it's getting us those designs, getting us what you're trying to accomplish, and letting our engineers work through it and see how we can either make it better or VE it, or deliver something that's going to work for years and years and years. And that's really something that's amazing, is the longevity of some of these products that are out there from PLC Multipoint. It's well beyond the 5 to 10 year lifetime horizon.
Right on. That's awesome. That's very interesting process that you guys have there. And I think that, from the ProCents standpoint, given that, what Matt just, so eloquently brought out, the idea of sellers in our environment being able to take advantage of rebate potential from both the seller and buyer side of the equation, and having companies like you that provide that avenue, for them to be able to buy and OEM internally, I think is a big push and positive for everybody in our environment. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Well, one thing I sort of skipped over that I want to make sure everybody realizes with PLC Multipoint is that we put our products very simple to use and commission and install. And we put in there the features and functionality that you need to have, that people want to have, but it's not like a cell phone or the entertainment stack in your car where you've got all this stuff that you're never going to use. And a lot of times controls companies sort of overwhelm their buyers with functionality that is really not going to be needed. So we try and take that ease out. Then we have 3 different ways of commissioning: be it factory commissioning, phone commissioning, or on-site. And we're there for you, regardless whether it's one wall switch or a campus-wide solution. So we're going to be there for you on the customer service side, and certainly the engineering backup.
Beautiful. Good support. That's the key, right? Controls is all about support. It's not just the quality of the product. It's what do you do before, during, and after it's installed. I mean, it's a big part of the whole controls game. I had a buddy of mine that used to say, no problem, no job when it comes to controls. If you're not selling them, you're probably not having a problem. It's not the problem that you worry about. It's how they actually solve it. So we trust you, brother. That's awesome. That's awesome stuff.
Very good.
Matt, Mr. Matt, do you want to say something before we close her out?
No, I greatly appreciate the time that Tom's provided us today and the insight that he's provided for the buyers, but also the sellers. Being on both sides of the fence from time to time, or in my past, having the OEM opportunity is huge. And then having someone that has the engineering team and the wherewithal to, put forth the right solution, whether it be the types of commissioning talked about, whether it be at the factory level or a phone or in the field. Those are fundamental things that you have to look at in your business, because Some people just don't know how to do it in the field. Sometimes you just need to have it taken care of in the factory. So why not reach out to someone that can take care of that for you? And that works for both buyers and sellers. So Tom, I greatly appreciate you highlighting that.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for the audience and the time today.
Absolutely. Thanks, brother. This concludes today's Inside ProCents blog session. Again, today's focus was on Tom Witter and PLC Multipoint, a controls solution out of Everett, Washington. Thank you again, Tom, for your time and for your insights and for everything that you do. We obviously appreciate you. So as we always do, we close now with a bit of the ProCents culture, just to do it right. To all of our current and future members, remember, success always begins with consistency. Get yourself and your organization fully connected. Be active, be responsive, always do what you say you're going to do, and remember to support the environment by always first turning inward for your organizational needs. At ProCents, we make connections that are sticky and that last, then we get out of the way. And ProCents opens those doors for you, and your participants always choose their own path, but they do it together. If you'd like to know more about ProCents, check out our website at www.procents.com or reach out to any one of the leadership team here and get on our calendars. There's no better time than right now to get on this train. Thank you all once again. Have a great weekend.